Alpine Divorce is when like a hiker leaves his wife in the mountains, leaving her stranded to die, and just walks away. I know, kind of a cutesy term for attempted murder, no? It's like if we called what Lorena Bobbitt did a kitchen bris. It's like, oh, you guys are mad at Jeffrey Dahmer? Why? You mean the DIY man-witch guy? Oh my god. Anyway, I'm gonna go walk into traffic, or as I call it, afterlife frogger. I just found out
women on the internet are sharing their stories of Alpine Divorce, which is basically when you go on a hike with someone, usually a man, and they leave you there stranded, or try to leave you there stranded. And I have a story about that. Back in 2022, I briefly was casually dating a doctor, and he asked if I wanted to go on a hike. And I was like, sure, but only if we get a hamburger after, because I love hamburgers. And so we started the hike, and he was joking with me about how if I eat hamburgers, I'm gonna get so fat. And then he started talking about his mom, who had worked cleaning houses her whole life and put him through medical school, was getting fat. And he was like ranting about it and how his mom would like hang up on him if he talked to her about how she was getting too fat. And I interjected and I was like, shouldn't she get to decide what she eats? She's worked so hard her whole life. And he got furious at me. He started storming ahead on the trail, ranting about how Americans are too fat and women are too fat. And at that time, a jogger had passed us, and that jogger heard this man ranting, backtracked, came to me, and kind of mouthed, and I was like, yes, but that was also my signal to leave. And there was like a shortcut off the trail to the parking lot, and I just started walking on it. And the doctor chased after me. He was like, where are you going? Where are you going? And I said, to go get a hamburger. And I did. So the happy ending is the girl got her hamburger and left the man.
There was a man who was born in 1842.
Yes, and we should talk about how fucked up it is. This man and his girlfriend went hiking to Austria's tallest mountain. He is supposedly a lot more advanced at hiking than she is, so he was their guide, so to speak. She collapses at 8:50 p.m. due to exhaustion, and temperatures being as low as -20 degrees. He does not descend for help until 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning, and when he does decide to descend for help, does he leave her wrapped in any sort of blankets or anything to hopefully keep her warm? No, he does not. Thank you for asking. And reportedly at around 10-something p.m., a rescue helicopter flew over top of them, and he not only didn't wave them down for help, despite her having collapsed at 8:50 p.m., his phone was shut off, so the rescue crew could not contact him. And his phone remained shut off for his entire descent down the mountain. Again, she collapsed at 8:50 p.m. He did not call for help until 3:30 in the morning. And then, as a little cherry on top, because that's not bad enough, his ex-girlfriend has actually come out and said not only did she go hiking with him in that exact same spot, he also left her because she was too slow. This man only got 5 years for negligent manslaughter.
Hi friends, I've been seeing a lot of Alpine Divorce stories on TikTok, and I thought I'd share mine. I had an ex-fiance, and we did a mountain called Golden Ears, and it's a bit of a doozy. Anyway, we did it in 3 days. Normally you do it in 2, but we decided to take our time, and we made it to the peak. It was beautiful, and then we went down, as we're going down the mountain, he decided it was taking too long, even though I had painful feet, like I have bunions, and I had really bad blisters at the time. But he decided to bugger off and go to base camp without me. So for 2.5 hours, I hiked down by myself in pain and really upset. And I got about half a kilometer to base camp, and I just sat in a big boulder field and I cried. And it was bad enough that several hikers stopped and asked me if I was okay. And I realized 2 things on that trip. 1, I don't think he liked me very much. And 2, we were done. Hi. Did you see that video of the woman that went on a hike with her boyfriend and he left her stranded out in the middle of nowhere? So apparently this is something that a lot of men are doing, and it's called an Alpine Divorce. Men take these women up into the middle of a mountain in like the middle of nowhere and tell them that they want to break up with them or they want a divorce. And then they leave them in the middle of nowhere and go home. Like, what? That is terrifying. I've been single for about 16 years now, and everybody tells me that I should be going out there to meet new people. I don't want to meet people if this is who I'm meeting. Honestly, has to be one of the most evil things that somebody could do. I'm not going to do very well if I'm stranded on a hike. Please, someone tell me that this isn't true. Did you see that video of the woman?
Oh my god, it gets fucking worse. It gets fucking worse. Listen. It is so fucking common. She's up and leave your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend in the middle of the mountains because you don't want to be with them anymore, but there's actually a fucking name for it. It's called Alpine Divorce or Alpine Abandonment. What? There's even a name for it? It's so common there's even a name for it. Tell me again why people still get married? It just seems like too many risks. What? Definitely not. Definitely the fuck not. I won't be getting married ever. Won't be getting married. Well, first of all, you wouldn't be getting me up in the fucking mountains to be up and abandoning me in the first place. Now that I know this information, definitely not.
Once they abandon y'all at like restaurants and go to the bathroom and then dip on y'all. You ain't got to just be at the mountains. It could just be anywhere. You just never know.
Wild behavior. People who do this need to get some serious trouble because that's no.
Just to follow up on the Alpine Divorce video with some more intrigue, questions, context. If you like true crime, here we go. Look up the case of Tina Watson, or the unaliving of Tina Watson in Australia. To know you have the right Tina Watson, it's going to be in 2003. Some people on here would call that an Alpine Divorce. Some people would call it a scuba divorce. They don't call it what it is, and he also did not do enough time for what he did. The case will make you angry. But my reason for deeply questioning this, right? The Independent and Guardian just put out articles on it, right? Here's my critique, here's my point. We cannot blur the line between divorce and unaliving. We need to keep those two things completely separate, because the answer, if you are no longer in love with your significant other, is to break up, divorce, never, correct? Right. And I get it a little bit from my day job. Like, don't get me wrong, but I am hyper conservative when it comes to titles. I'm not going to get into about gender pronouns. You live your life in that regard. I do not care. Like, it is, you live your best life in that point. When it comes to calling yourself a doctor, calling yourself a police officer, calling yourself an engineer, a superintendent, a principal, what have you, I care quite deeply about occupational titles. So when it comes to this terminology here, I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with people referring to it in slang as a divorce. It's not divorce. When it's got a violent act attached to it, it's just the schmurdering or the attempted schmurdering or unaliving, what have you. See, that's where I'm getting really, really nervous. And referring to the case that I mentioned, they did have two very different skill levels when they went scuba diving. We could probably also say the same thing about skydiving. We could say the same thing about any extreme sport that couples may try to do together. In those instances, it's not referred to as a divorce. It's referred to as what it is. So if someone broke up with you, then it's okay to call it an Alpine divorce, right? But if there was an act of violence tied toward it, don't call it divorce, please. That's awful. An active DV is an active DV. It is not a divorce. If you know what DV stands for, it's domestic, something else. Okay? That's where I'm getting at. Please understand, my intentions are sterling. I want to protect women. I don't want to downplay an active V, because that's how light sentences happen. That's how second times and third times and fifth times happen. That's my worry. I want to know your thoughts. Again, comparing this, does this add more context to my train of thought on this? And granted, it's from 2003. I know it's like over 20 years old and I'm a dinosaur. Like, I get it. But please understand that was part of my point of context because I never forgot about it when I heard about it when I was 13, 14 years old. And I'm a lot older now than I was back then. And it stuck with me because it was terrifying. A lot of people have forgotten about that because, life went on, right? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Hey guys, it's officially been 7 months and a few days since I came home from work, discovered my husband was missing, then learned he wasn't missing. He had just ghosted me because he wanted to pursue a relationship with one of his mistresses. And this month actually was quite eventful. I've debated posting this a few times, actually only once or twice. I thought I was just going to be done talking about this situation in general, but I've changed my mind a little bit because it is still about my journey and there are things I'm struggling with now that I feel like I can't talk about because I haven't told you this part. But basically, I got the call that everyone has been saying I was going to get this whole time. I got the apology tour, the whole 9 yards, and I am...
Next.
Okay, let's talk for a minute about the Alpine divorce and this trend going around of men leaving women in the woods alone. And here I thought I heard them saying they were protectors. So dangerous, so incredibly fucked up. This happened to me when I was a teenager once. A guy got mad at me and left me in the middle of the woods at night. And I always made sure that men were so fucking scared of me that they would never even think about that shit. If I get left in the woods, you better fucking hope I die out there. Because I'm coming back with a motherfucking vengeance, bitch. I'll become the witch of the woods out there. Men don't understand how easy it would be for a lot of women to just end them. You gotta sleep and you gotta eat. Women have been doing that since the beginning of time. Because at the end of the day, I'm willing to die for me. Are you? Okay, let's talk.
Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and her sister lost their lives in that plane.
Why am I today years old, 42 years old, and just finding out about Alpine divorces? Y'all, I went on a fucking rabbit hole and I had no business goddamn doing. I should have minded the goddamn business that pays me. Because not only do women have to fear for their lives in abusive relationships, just walking down the street and hoping that somebody doesn't fucking attack you. But now, another layer has been added or has been around for a while where guys plan intentionally to take their wives on hiking trips just to fucking leave them at the mountaintop, y'all. And you know what? It's the fact that they put so much effort into organizing and planning this. But somehow they are willfully ignorant about everything else that should be done in a relationship. Whether that is to do the right thing and file for separation, file for divorce, go to therapy, etc. The same people who claim that they don't know how to cook clean and do labor in the house and help with the fucking children, planning fucking Alpine divorces. As if women needed something else to be on the lookout for. Don't go on no fucking hiking trips, y'all.
You don't know what an Alpine divorce is? So Alpine divorces are when men take their partners or their wives on hikes or adventures outside deep into the wilderness and leave them there. That's an Alpine divorce. You ask why we don't like men, why we're so hard on you guys. That's just one example. A man will literally leave his pregnant wife because he doesn't like the way she looks anymore. After he got her pregnant. Men literally assault women on the streets just for existing. Do we need more reasons?
Okay, men and males are two different things.
Don't piss me off.
They're not.
They're not. They're not.
The term.
They're not.
The term.
They're not.
You gonna let him talk?
They're not.
So you think I'll leave you in the wilderness?
You might. You're a man. I don't put nothing past you.
I hope it's open.
Just bye.
Oh, see, look at you already about to leave me.
You right.
Prove my point.
Yeah.
Go ahead, prove it. You don't know what an Alpine Divorce is?
Alright, so I need y'all to help me.
Stop calling it an Alpine Divorce. By the way, was coined by a man. Call it what it is. Premeditated endangerment. Society's obsessed with using cutesy slang to minimize extreme harm done to women. They've turned abandoning an inexperienced partner in a death zone into the equivalent of a messy breakup. That's not what happened to Kirsten Gertner. Slowly froze to death while the man she trusted walked away. And here's what makes it way worse. He did it to an ex-girlfriend too. It's a pattern that's cost too many women. And hiding it behind pretty words only benefit the ones carrying out the harm. Stop calling it an
Okay, here's the thing. I'm seeing this thing go around right now called Alpine Divorces. And an Alpine Divorce is where your boyfriend will take you for a hike, usually on a place that you're not used to, that you aren't aware of, that you're not a good hiker with, and he is. And then he'll just abandon you in the middle of the hike. And anyways, when I was 17, I was dating this guy, and he was really, really just beautiful, intelligent, funny, all the things that you kind of want your high school boyfriend to be, right? Right. And we were dating for a long period of time. We went through a lot together. I full on broke my leg in the middle of a relationship, and he was taking care of me so well. His sister would come over to help me with everything. He was, for the most part, a great boyfriend, even though he was kind of just emotionally stunted. But he was a 17-year-old boy. What can you do? And it felt like he was permanently a 17-year-old boy, you know? So anyways, we're dating. Everything's going well. I turn 18 and I'm so excited by this entire thing. But then something happens at my birthday party. And all of a sudden he just decides that he doesn't want to be with me anymore. But do I realize that? No. I think that he's just being weird because this thing happened at my birthday party, and I'm oh my god, okay, so he just needs some space. He needs space. But he's full on freaking me out. Every time we talk, it's he's pulling away more and more and more. And then finally he comes over to my house and he's let's go for a walk in the woods. And I'm you understand that I'm a klutz, right? Because here's the thing. I am such a klutz. I get bruises all over my body all the time because I just fall. Wherever I stand, I can just fall. And so I'm absolutely, let's go for a hike in the woods so that we can talk about this entire situation, because I had no idea what Alpine Divorces were. And maybe if I did, I wouldn't have been abandoned in the woods. But he takes me for a walk into the woods, and then he's we're leaving. Bella, we're leaving. And I'm okay. And I kind of think that he means that I'm going with him. And don't ask me why, because that was very embarrassing of me. But he's Bella, we're leaving. And I'm okay, great, let me go pack my things. But also we can't leave yet because I have 5 more months left of school. Let me deal with the 5 more months left of school. You also have 5 more months left of school. And then we can leave. Then we can go on to our next adventure, on to our next thing. And I'll have, my high school diploma. And he's no. My family and I are leaving. You're not coming. And I'm what do you mean? No, what do you mean? After everything that we've been through, you're just gonna abandon me, and this is how you're doing it? And he's I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm listing all these ways that I can go with him or that we can still be together. And he's I actually don't want you to come. And oh my god, I left my lid. That's really embarrassing. And then he's okay, just stay safe. Well, it's nice knowing you. And then he starts walking very quickly through the woods, and he's a lot faster than me, and I'm very, very clumsy, so I trip on my own 2 feet trying to follow him. And by the time that I'm able to get back up, because I'm a little dazed from having tripped, he's just full on gone. And then I get lost in the woods. My dad was the town sheriff, so he and a bunch of his friends came to find me, and it took them hours, and it was really rainy and wet and gross. And then I was not comatose, because comatose is when you're asleep, but I was full on out of it for the next 3 months before I finally just woke up one day. And then anyways, a few months after that, all of a sudden I'm getting a call from his sister, the one who helped me after I broke my leg. And she's hey, yeah, Edward's trying to off himself, so you have to come help me not let Edward off himself. So for some reason, because I'm 18 and stupid, I go pick him up, and I'm you can't kill yourself for, I don't know, like he wasn't being reasonable. Well, you weren't being reasonable, Edward. What do you want me to say? You weren't being reasonable. It was the most unreasonable thing anyone's ever done. This is why R.O. Volturi knows who I am. I didn't say the name Volturi out loud. Anyways, yeah, no. Then we got back together. And we've been together ever since.
Am I the only one that didn't know that hiking divorces were more common than they actually are? I saw a TikTok where this girl was talking about how she was left and abandoned by her boyfriend, I think on Valentine's Day or something, during a hike. And then I looked in the comments and I was like, this is common. Like, people are all saying that a lot of them are saying that this happened to them. So then I looked into it, and while this isn't the case for everybody, like, it was said that in a 2024 survey, about 46% of hikers were in a relationship going on the hike, and then only 42% finished in a relationship. Like, I can't imagine the people being abandoned during a hike. Like, that is so scary, and I hope that never happens to anybody.
The reason that I do cardio is because
You really left me on this.
A woman posted a video a few days ago where she said that her partner broke up with her mid-hike and left her there. And that already was horrifying. But what is extremely horrifying is to find out that there is a term for it, because it is such a common occurrence that they have a whole support group online for it. It's called Alpine Divorces. This is such a common thing where husbands will literally take someone out into the middle of nowhere, into the wild, and decide that is the perfect moment to tell them they want to break up. And then sometimes they just leave them there, as if they aren't in the middle of a hike in the middle of the nature. And what is really scary is that it's a whole trend right now to share the story of your Alpine divorce. That is so scary that there is enough people that relate to that it is a trend. And I hope that this is just self-explanatory, but if anyone ever left you in the middle of a hike for any reason, don't talk to them again. They do not care about your safety. If anyone left you in the middle of anywhere alone, honestly, they do not care about your safety. Because the thing is, even if you were like my worst enemy, someone that I hate, like you tell me the absolute worst, darkest secret while we're on this hike and now I cannot stand to be around you anymore, I'm going to cut the hike short. But I'm going to still stay with you until we get back to the front, get to our cars safely. I either order you an Uber or we go in our own separate cars. Like, I'm not going to leave you in the middle of nature alone, even if I hate you. But to say that you love someone and you take them into the middle of a hike and that's when you choose to break up with them, that's evil. Like, truly, that's evil. It is quite literally waiting for someone to be in an extremely vulnerable moment and taking that opportunity to break up with them. Partially because they think maybe you won't have a huge reaction if you need them to stay with you. And it's partially because they genuinely just do not care and they want to make it as cut ties as possible, and they think it's a great way to do it. The fact that there is a whole term for it makes me wonder if anyone should ever go on a hike for a date ever again, because that is insane. Honestly, if someone ever does that to you, they didn't love you in the first place. Like, them breaking up with you is the least of your problems if someone is willing to leave you in the middle of a forest, a mountain, whatever, alone. That's crazy, and they do not respect you. They do not care about you.
So the TikTok girls are all freaking out because they just found out what an Alpine divorce is, which is basically when a man takes a woman out on an extremely dangerous hike and then he abandons her in the woods or on a mountain to basically there, and her perishing is his way of divorcing her. Okay, so hearing about this male-dominated sport made me come up with the most amazing idea for a book plot. So we have this extremely charismatic male hiker, literally known for hiking. He's like the Tony Hawk of walking through the woods, right? He's famous on YouTube, Instagram. Everybody knows who he is, but they don't know that he's actually secretly an unaliver of women. He dates women, and then when they get annoying or they start to figure out he's a narcissist, he takes them for an Alpine divorce. He basically takes them out into the woods, and then he basically leaves them to perish there on an extremely dangerous path with absolutely no supplies or knowledge of the wood. The main character is extremely charismatic, extremely handsome, extremely famous, and although there's something a little bit off about him, nobody would ever suspect that he's taking women into the woods and getting off on basically leaving them to starve and die. Although this man loves his deadly hobby, being an advanced hiker by day and a serial unaliver by night is starting to take his toll. He's starting to get lazy and wanting to retire Jack Ripper style, but he's decided he needs one last score. So unlike all the little other hoes he left in the dirt, he's actually going to find a rich woman, marry her, then outplay and divorce her to get her insurance money. Psycho son of a bitch finally finds the perfect woman of his dreams. Let's call this hoe Sandra. She's perfect, rich, elegant, classy, and he decides to woo her all all over the internet publicly so that when she does go missing, nobody will suspect him. He takes her out of the country. He stays married to her for 2 years until he can't deal with her bitchy, nagging ass mouth. His words, not mine. Her mother is some heiress. Her father some CEO. She's stupid, very easily pliable, and he decides this is the perfect one. I'm gonna marry her, and then I'm gonna woo her in front of the entire internet. So he gives her diamonds, takes her out the country, takes her on flights, everything for 2 whole years to make everyone think he's the perfect husband. Well, let's call him Jeff, because all the scandalous, nasty, acting ass men right now are named Jeff. Jeff doesn't know that Sandra's actually lied about her entire personality. The woman and man that he met that are supposed to be her rich parents are actually hillbillies she paid to pretend to be her parents. Her goal was to marry a rich man like him and to take all his money. Does Jeff know Sandra's father is actually a highly skilled, disgraced military operative who was discharged from the forces due to being too aggressive and turning on comrades he believed weren't worthy of defending their country. His mother is a beautiful young Native American woman who runs away from her reservation to be with military Poppy despite his disgraced status. For coming home disgraced, Sandra's father teaches her absolutely everything that she needs to know to survive no matter the circumstances and drills it into her head daily up until he finally fakes her birth certificate, social security, and gives her the identity of a rich woman so that she can acclimate into society and never have to struggle like him and her mother, and then he himself. Sandra is now left depressed and even worse, poor, because, military daddy who was disgraced, ain't get no damn picture. He ain't get no money. The U.S. government was like, you can have this lick of dirt. She's raised by her Native American mother who teaches her to be spiritually strong and also teaches her what to do if she ever runs into certain creatures out in the wild. Certain creatures out in the wild. Jeff thinks he's leaving some skilly Dubai P-brain, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, spoiled heiress, legally blonde ass bitch on the top of this mountain to get eaten by mountain lions or die. He's actually leaving a very skilled huntress who may not have resources but has nothing but time to think of ways to punish Jeff for leaving her on this mountain. And best believe she finna make it off this mountain. Sudden change of POV or point of view for people who don't know what that means. All of a sudden we get the POV of this old, decrepit, gothic, malevolent presence. We have no idea who this is. They sound ancient, they sound old, they sound nasty, and we find out whatever this is has been watching Jeff kill women for over 10 years in the top of this mountain. He never helps the women because they always never help themselves. They're always like, I don't know what to do. They try to get on their phone, try to contact TikTok and fall off a mountain or get eaten by something. And he's never cared because he's a monster. This is the first woman Jeff has ever bought that he's seen fight back and actually try to use her resources to get up out of there. He also heard her talking about how she's going to get him, she's going to kill him. He's like, that's not my type of bitch. This gigantic, malevolent, ancient Wendigo is totally hypnotized by Sandra. He's mesmerized by the mortal snatch. So he takes her, kidnaps her for several days, and tries to convince her to become some sort of berserker-like creature so she can quote-unquote handle him. Sandra finally breaks after a few days and tells him, like, look, baby, I don't need no type of transformation to handle all that Wendy dick. I need you to go with me to hunt down Jeff, and as long as he feels the pain that he's caused every single woman that is buried up here in these mountains, I will become your Appalachian Mountain Queen. Speaking of calling it the Alpine annulment, because unlike a divorce, that Wendigo daddy will make it look like your husband never existed. Should I take my medication? So the TikTok girls are all freaking out because they just found out what an Alpine